Hi guys, Kelly here, and welcome to the 10th day of Bookmas. And today I want to talk about my top 10 books of 2018. I'm going to try, since there's 10 books to talk about, and these are obviously ones I really enjoyed, to be very short on telling you what the book's about and stuff like that, so this is not a super long video. The order I'm going to tell you these in, since I can't really narrow down my top favorite book of the year, I'm just going to tell you the order in which I read them, because I just can't rank them because they're all different genres and I like them for different reasons. So we're just going to go in order of read. So the first one is Through the Looking Glass by Lewis Carroll. And this is the second story after Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. And I read both of these books this year and I gave them both, I think, 5 stars. But I picked this one as my favorite because I liked it just a little bit more than the first book. And the reason is that in this one, Alice really feels so charming and silly, and the story that is created in this book is just so ridiculous. It's like watching a toddler playing by themselves. Like when I watch my daughter play, that's what this book is. It's just like her having conversations with herself or different characters and just being silly and ridiculous and fun. And it doesn't make really any sense, but it's a fun adventure. The second one is What to Say Next by Julie Buxbaum. And this is a YA contemporary. It does kind of focus a little bit on romance, but then it dives in deeper into some emotional issues. And so what I liked about this is that the friendship between the two main characters, it wasn't just straight into a romance. It really developed them as friends first, and they didn't know each other at all at the beginning of the story. So I liked seeing the two characters form a friendship, and what is thought to be an unlikely friendship. Like they were from two very different groups of people at high school, and them learning how to appreciate each other throughout the book was really nice to watch. There was also some really good family issues. That was like what I was saying about it diving a little more deeper emotionally. The main character in this, Kit, her father has just recently passed away in a car accident, so there's a lot of her dealing with that grief, her and her mother having conversations about it and dealing with it in their own ways. And so I really enjoyed having some of those deeper family issues. And just like even the relationship itself seemed to deal more in emotional issues than just like having a first love. So it just felt a little more deeper for a contemporary romance. And then the next book is Persepolis by Marjane Satrapi. And this is a graphic memoir. And I did read both Persepolis 1 and Persepolis 2 this year, but specifically for this list, I chose the first book, Persepolis 1, because I really enjoyed watching her talk about her childhood, more so than her teen into her 20s that was in the second one. I love them both, but this one I really appreciated seeing the way a country at unrest and going into war, how that is seen from the eyes of a child and from everyday people. Like her family is not involved politically and things like that. It's just seeing her family deal with it. And basically this is a graphic memoir about a young girl who grew up in Iran, and it's taking place during a lot of unrest in the country in the 1990s. And I just really appreciated seeing that aspect, because we often see war stories from people that are really active in the actual war. So this is just seeing an everyday family and how they're dealing with a change in leadership. And then the next one is The Martian by Andy Weir, and this is a sci-fi book about a man stranded on Mars. And what I love about this is that it is funny and smart, has a lot of scientific references and suspenseful all in one. And so I liked the sciencey aspects, but that they were balanced out by the humor. So anytime it would seem like it was starting to get dry when he's talking forever about growing potatoes on Mars, he would have so much humor in it that it wouldn't get boring, even though basically it's one guy for most of the book that we are hearing about. It still stayed interesting the whole time to me. The next one is I Capture the Castle by Dodie Smith. This is I don't know if you would call it a modern classic. I believe it was written in the 30s. Don't quote me on that. I didn't look it up before I said that, but it is taking place during the early 1900s in England, and it is about a family who is living in a castle, but they are poor. The father was a really popular author, but he hasn't written anything lately, so they have just kind of run out of money and are living in this old rundown castle. And this is all written from the perspective of one of the girls, Cassandra, that's her name, and she is kind of writing it through journal entries and things like that. And I just found this to be a completely charming story. So like just being in Cassandra's head was lovely. Like I really enjoyed her as a character and watching her growth throughout the whole story. And then just there's a lot of like drama in the family and romance, because her and her older sister are, start to meet men in the area, and they are, especially as her sister is coming of the age where she will hopefully be married soon to start to bring in some money into the family. And so there's all of those kind of like dramatic issues happening, and I really like the way they were handled in this book, and I really enjoyed the ending, which isn't necessarily the ending that I expected it to be. So I thought this was a completely charming story, and I definitely would reread this someday. And the next one is The Start of Me and You by Emery Lord. This is a YA contemporary about a girl who the previous year her first boyfriend had died suddenly, and so she's kind of spent a year alone grieving, and now she's starting her, I think, senior year, and kind of wants to start fresh and wants to start dating again because it has been a year. And so it's a story all about dealing with grief, dealing with survivor guilt, and it's about friendship and falling in love and finding your passion. And I just thought it was a great mix of all of those themes. So it's not just a basic romance. It really dives into a lot of the emotional baggage she's coming with, and her relationships with the other people in her life, and how she deals with that day to day, her feelings of what happened in the past. And what I love about this story is that it has a really solid friend group. She has a group of a few girls, and sometimes in YA books, we don't get the best look into girl friendships, and these were really solid friendships where they are really there for her when she's going through a hard time, and she's there for them, and they are just a tight-knit group, and I love to see that. The next one is A Study in Scarlet by Arthur Conan Doyle. This is the first novella in the Sherlock Holmes mystery series, and these are just really fun reads. I've only read 2 of them so far, but I just really enjoyed the story. It does kind of have a weird plot. I've heard that the plot is a lot more disjointed than some of the other ones, but I still found it entertaining the whole time. I liked the kind of slow pace of the mystery, kind of like it's more about the ambiance than just the mystery. And also this is the book where Holmes and Watson meet each other for the first time, and their interactions are just really fun to read about, and I'm excited to continue the series, to continue to basically follow these characters. I'm not even that concerned with solving the mystery. I just want to see Holmes and Watson interact with each other and with other characters, because that is what is really entertaining about these. And then the next one is Poison Study by VE Snyder, and this is a fantasy series. It was originally a trilogy, but now I think she has extended the series, and so this was a reread for me. I had read the initial trilogy before, but I didn't really remember any of it. And this story has a little bit of everything. It has a little bit of adventure and magic and a strong female character. That's one of the best things. The main character, Yelena, is a great main character. She has a lot of issues in her past that she's dealing with, but at the same time, she has a lot of inner character and inner strength that she brings to the story to deal with those issues. So they still are there and still part of her, but she can move forward and develop as a character despite her past issues. And there's friendships and a slow burn romance. There's a lot going for this book, and I'm very excited to continue the series this year. And then the next one is More Than This by Patrick Ness. And this is, I don't really know how to describe this book at all, because you really want to see it unfold as you go, because that's what I enjoyed about it. So basically it's just at the very beginning you see our main character Seth die, and then like the next page he is alive again, but we don't know where he is or what's happening, if it's like the afterlife or if he's dreaming it, or who knows. It's all a mystery. But that's what's really great about the story. I love to watch the like mystery happening and like learning as Seth is learning and not having any clue what's going to happen next. And there was also a lot of suspenseful moments, but at the same time there were moments to ponder life and kind of like the meaning of life and why we're here and all that. And so I really liked that combination. It kept me entertained the whole time. And I will just real quick mention that I also read A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness at the beginning of the year, and I was deciding which one of these two to put in the list, because they were both really excellent stories and I would recommend them both. And I just picked more than this because I had read it more recently, and so I had more connection with the story, but I would definitely recommend both, and they were both probably favorites of the year. I just didn't want to put two Patrick Ness stories on this list. And then, let's see, that brings us down to number 10. So my last one was Vicious by VE Schwab, and this is a, I don't know if you would call it like a sci-fi or speculative fiction book about two men who go to college together, and they are friends, but then they decide to create a way to learn more about extraordinary people, EOs, and they want to create their own EOs. And through this process, they kind of turn into a arch nemesis of each other. And so this whole book is really a book full of villains and full of bad characters, and that's kind of what was so interesting about it. It was incredibly fast-paced plot that kept me interested the whole time, and the characters were so bad, but at the same time you're rooting for some of them, even though you know none of them are good people. So that was like really interesting to kind of get in the head of the villains and not necessarily the superheroes in a story like that. So those are my top 10 books of 2018. If you have read any of these, I'd love to hear your thoughts on them, and then let me know what one of your favorite books was from the year, and I will hopefully put it on my TBR list if it's something that sounds interesting. Hope you are enjoying 2019. Bye.